When you're going through those tough times in business or what have you, it's like, just remember that. You're like, all right. And what it means to me is like, let's take this adversity and let's turn it into something, that's going to be a positive down the road. We don't even know what it is right now, but embrace the position that we're in when you're growing your business and you feel like you're fighting and scraping. It's not going where you want it to go.
Like no matter what you're going through, always, if you count it joy, you can think of it from a positive aspect of like, I'm learning something from this.
Yeah.
And so it's like, just
God gives us rainy days to appreciate the sunny ones, I think.
Yeah.
Welcome to Making Sparks, the podcast where we ignite your passion for metal fabrication and fuel your business success. Join industry leaders and dive deep into the world of metalworking. From business insights to tips of the trade, Making Sparks is your forge of knowledge. During each episode, discover success stories, innovative solutions, and expert interviews that light the path to business growth. Subscribe today and grow and improve your company, and let's make sparks fly together.
Welcome back to Making Sparks. Today is a cool episode. Oh, by the way, I'm your host, Casey, sitting here with my co-host, Matthew Nix, and we have another guest on this shot, other guest over there. But it's a special episode because we got some guys coming all the way from South Dakota to come out and hang out with us in the big city of Poseyville. And I'm going to let Matthew introduce them so that I can stop talking.
You want to take another stab at that?
Okay, fine. I'll take another stab at it. Welcome back to Making Sparks. I'm your host, Casey Velker here, sitting here with my co-host, Matthew Nix, and we got two special guests that came here all the way from South Dakota to visit the big city of Poseyville. And I'm going to let Matthew introduce who they are, but I just wanted to say thanks for listening.
Yeah, great job, Casey. Second take. You did okay on the second take. So I think our guests, I can't talk. Our guests here today broke the record for the farthest to travel to be on the podcast. So that's pretty cool. Thank you guys for making the trip. And I just met them for the first time today. We had a great morning touring our operations and chatting a little bit. But the Ross brothers, right? That's how we can refer to you guys. But no, I'm really excited to have them on. They've got a cool story. And learned a lot this morning already talking to them, and I can relate so much to their story. A lot of similarities to our journey starting out. So really excited for you guys to be here with us all the way from South Dakota to Indiana. So
glad to be here.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Much appreciation for the time getting to check out everything. And
what do you guys think about the big city of Poseyville?
Small time vibes. Small town vibes.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh yeah, I like it a lot. Neat little town. Honestly, I love it here.
The thing that
I've seen so far.
The one thing when we were driving around, the thing I loved was when you see these older houses that have the wraparound porches to where, like, back in early 1900s when people used to sit on rocking chairs drinking some iced tea.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about seeing so far.
Still see some people sitting on that porch here and there.
Yeah.
Even the building we're in right now, 1800s house right now. So
yeah. Well, you guys want to take a turn introducing yourselves?
It's unique because you guys are brothers, but your guys' businesses are separate, right?
Yeah.
So
correct. Yeah.
We'll let
right now,
Rodney, who's sitting to my right, we'll let you introduce who you are and what your business is, and then we'll go to Austin.
Yeah. So I'm Rodney Ross Jr. I own Mid-State Welding with my wife, and we started off formerly a pipeline welder, traveled for 13, 14 years across the country, and then when 2020 hit, decided to start a business just to survive, and it kind of started off from there. And then we do custom fabrication with railings, decks, stairs, and repair work, that kind of stuff. And we're just looking to grow, and we've moved into a shop that used to be a welding shop for 30 years. And so we're just looking to continue to grow, but obviously we're still in the learning curve of many aspects. So that's what I'm excited about, being here and learning.
I'm Austin, Rodney's brother, obviously, like Casey already mentioned. And I have a Ross Welding. We got a YouTube channel. We started a YouTube channel in 2017. We started the A Ross Welding, or the Austin Ross YouTube channel, in 2017. And it just kind of evolved into all kinds of online things. So we've got an online store where we sell hats, some tools, and then we've got digital prints and 3 online courses, and then we just started some in-person workshops that we do. We just had one at Mid-State shop, and yeah, me and Rodney are fixing to create something else. See what that looks like. I just moved up here due to a life event, I've been calling it. So we're doing a little merger now. So I'm excited to be here.
You guys have your brothers, and you're in a similar industry, but a little bit different backgrounds. And how do you guys bring those journeys together to join forces? It's really cool. I'll be very excited to see how that evolves over time.
Likewise. Yeah, totally excited. We're big dreamers, big visionaries. Now it's just a matter of finding what we can apply.
Yeah. I like to say when people point out somebody that's accomplished something or a goal that they have or a vision they want to get to, I always say, one way it won't happen, and that's by accident. So you gotta dream, you gotta believe, and you gotta do it. It ain't gonna happen by accident. So
I heard a saying once said, I can't remember, by Gandhi or something. It's like, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, or something like that. And it's so true. You got to have a vision,
Yeah, absolutely.
Starts with a vision. I agree.
So what's going on with you guys? Tell us a little bit about where you're at and where you're at in your journey and what's on your mind.
Well, so right now with Austin moving up, we've moved his store inside the shop. He's been jumping in on the mid-state side of things, because we're trying to team up because some of the struggles that we're going through in the process of the shop is trying to get estimates, because we'll get leads, but trying to get estimates put out fast enough. And so then that's where we're also trying to build our team. Our guys, they're younger, and so we're trying to figure out how to divide our time between estimates, getting those put out in an efficient amount of time, but also trying to get the guys and get us in the shop also, because there's 4 of us. And so trying to divide our team, trying to divide the task. What's the word?
Delegate.
Delegate accordingly.
Yeah, like properly trying to see who fits where and like what we do best. And clearly we're shorthanded right now, which growing pains. From little we've talked with, you, Matthew, before. It's kind of, I don't know, what do you call it, natural or whatever, or not natural, but it's comes with the territory of trying to grow and do, delegate and do something bigger than what we've done before. It's a challenge.
And you're dealing with the age-old thing of, we got to get the work, but we've got to execute the work. And, are we going to focus more on making sure we get the work, the estimating in your situation, or are we going to be in the shop getting it done? And I mean, that never really goes away. We were talking about that this morning.
Yeah.
We have a team of 8 or 9 salespeople now, and 10 or 15 estimators, and that still doesn't totally ever go away. It's a constant yin and yang and some healthy tension, but it's really hard when that lives inside one person's head. It's like today I'm gonna be the estimator, and tomorrow I'm gonna be the one that has to get the work done. That's a whole nother world there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been tough, but that's where this summer, when he came up to help with the TV show for my daughter's playhouse, he come up and I had a whole list of inquiries and jobs on the forefront. And I was my mother-in-law, she's been helping out. She answers the phone, and ever since she took that over, that's helped alleviate some of the taking care of phone calls, the ones that I don't need to directly be involved with. So whenever he come up, we have a regular meeting on Monday mornings to go over the week, whatever was happening the week before. And so me and her just rattling stuff back and forth. And whenever he come up, he was like, time out. Like, I need a list of every single thing you got, like from top to bottom, inquiries to the projects. And we sat down and we had probably 2 pages worth of inquiries that we had stuff that's been delayed because of this, that, and the other. And because for him coming into it, he was like, how can I help? Is that how you were?
Yeah, I mean, it was just chaos, And I was like, if I'm going to help, I need to know what's going on. So let's try to prioritize and organize this. So I was like, just put it all down on paper.
Some systems and processes.
Yeah.
We talked about that earlier.
Start that.
For our listeners, like what has been your role, Austin, as you came up to? I mean, obviously you guys both have separate companies, and you guys are talking about like this, like kind of like merging, and some of the parts merging. I don't know if everything is going to merge. We kind of had lunch earlier, and I'm teasing the audience because they don't know what we talked about at lunch, but there's that. But anyway, what was like when you came, because you said like he said timeout. You know, what did you think your brother was going to bring, and what have you brought?
Well, I know. So the differences between me and him, like I've always been like I'm just always trying to figure out the next move, and where he and everything in his life events of his online presence, where everything's a step slower, is like
that's what we noticed whenever we come together. We didn't know. I had no idea that was going to happen whenever I come up there, and so it just naturally, because of it was just me and Kayla doing everything and our part-time help shipping orders in the shop. All that to say is, with the skeleton crew, we naturally had to slow down. So it was like that's how my brain operated, was just slower. So I come up here to Rodney and everything's moving fast. And so I just naturally had to slow it down. You know what I mean? So
you're more methodical, maybe process oriented.
So between like me and Rodney, I'm like the guy that's pulling because I can't understand it when it's moving too fast. And he's the one that's seeing the big vision. You know, he's thinking of he's just moving a lot faster up here and thinking way further ahead. I'm more like operations.
I think that's okay.
That's awesome.
I think it's a great partnership right there.
Yeah, my brother and I are the same way, and I've got people on my team that way. It's so important to have that, those different skill sets and personalities, and the fact that you guys understand that and appreciate that about each other is going to be huge. I had
someone that could pull me back.
Well, and
sometimes you need somebody to push you, and sometimes you need somebody to pull you back.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, and my wife, she is like, that's one thing that we got really good at, like what we've noticed. So like when my wife helps, whenever we worked together, when we were pipelining, she, like, I was a foreman for a short period of time, and she was good at like stay on task, because I'm real quick to be like, just trying to keep moving. And she's like, whoa. And so whenever he came up, and then, she's like a realist, she's like, okay, we need to slow down just a sec, this, and this. And then that's where that all kind of like, as a whole unit, like it just really helped, to where my wife's always trying to like help me get set into, like reality sometimes, because I can future trip probably a little too much sometimes. But
like I said, you just move too fast, and so you need somebody like picking up the pieces behind you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My wife likes to say that I just walk in the room and light a match and then walk away.
Yeah.
So
somebody's got to play that role.
Somebody's got to light the match and start the fire.
Yeah.
But I'm better at starting things than finishing them. You got to recognize that.
Yeah. So like my wife will say that, like, because I just came home one day, I was like, hey, honey, I'm starting a business. And she was like, what? All right, here we go, kind of a thing. And because that's probably one thing I wish I would have had more planning on starting a business, but sometimes you got to
you can plan, but sometimes you just got to do it.
Yeah. Oh,
there's a lot of value in both. I'm learning, like.
And you were probably planning, you didn't know it. You were planning,
Yeah. I mean, so like before I started, I had originally wanted to get into selling like welding gloves, because that on the pipeline before, like the service that we have now, like everything's so readily available as far as the online stuff. I wanted to just sell welding gloves. Like I wanted to be the guy with the trench coat that has all the things in his pockets, so when you're on the job, you're like, oh, you need some welding gloves? I got welding gloves. Oh, you're left-handed? Don't worry, I got you right-handed gloves here, like that kind of a thing. And anyways, and so that's kind of where it kind of like sparked, but it, just nothing came to. And then for me, I think that's where the entrepreneurial side of it kind of, I knew I wanted something bigger. And so, but.
So you mentioned the TV show earlier. We definitely, got to hear about this.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about what you were mentioning.
I think that'll lead into a lot of because you guys have both built different kinds of presences.
Yeah,
online,
great social media online presence.
The TV show threw us off because we didn't even know about it. Anyway, go on. You guys will talk about it. It's cool.
So the TV show is called Building Outside the Lines. Our friend Cappy, him and his daughter on the show, it's on Magnolia. And so what they do, they go around and they make these projects for customers, and they try to repurpose. So like if they're going to make a kids hangout, they're, like we did one with a concrete drum mixer, like on a big truck, we cut the end off and we cut all the guts out and we made a door, and then him and Alex put the stuff on the inside, made a kids hangout. So with that, we got connected with him just through just going to a chamber mixer, and then we become friends. And then he said he was doing a show and asked if we would be on the show as a fabricator. And so we're kind of his Noah guy, his connection, because, and the cool part about him is that he can do some welding, so it's when he comes to us to have stuff welded, we're the guy that does the important, like extra important, or it's bigger than what he's delegating that portion to us. And it's turned into 2 seasons, and so those are out, and we got to be on quite a few episodes, and it's been a great opportunity to just show the world that there's different kind of projects that you can do that's unique and custom, and Austin got to be on a couple episodes for it last season.
So, I did. That was really, really neat. Felt fortunate to be a part of that.
It was such a cool, like, small world, full circle moment for us at lunch. So here we are having lunch. These guys traveled in. We got to give them a shop tour today. He's talking about a TV show, and then so I asked him what it was, and he told me. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! I just watched. It wasn't the episode you guys were on, or I would have connected the dots. But I watched a different episode, and this Cappy guy was on there. And I don't really watch much TV at all, but it just happened to be a rainy Sunday afternoon, and I'm like, let's see what's on. And I like those kind of shows, and there's another one on the same network called Building Off the Grid.
Yeah.
It's really cool that I like that you mentioned. And so Building Outside the Lines on Magnolia. And that, for anybody that doesn't know, Magnolia is the network that Chip and Joanna Gaines, a lot of people know who they are. It's their TV network. And
yeah.
It's kind of along the same lines of like the HGTV type feel, right? It's that
exactly.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, kind of either repurposing or flipping type projects, or
Hey guys, it's Nick from Making Chips. I want to give you 3 quick reasons why you should check out Mike Payne's podcast, By the Numbers. Mike, my good buddy, my partner on Making Chips, is full of wisdom. He's full of experience. He's full of what it takes to buy, sell, and lead a business, specifically a manufacturing business. So all the numbers that you should be focused on to improve your performance, that's what he's the master at. The second reason, Mike's the first person I call. If I'm looking at a new idea, a new partnership opportunity, a new acquisition, any new initiative where I need to dive into the numbers and figure out how to approach it, Mike is who I go to. And third, you got to love that buttery Tulsa King voice that Mike rocks. It just soothes your soul. It gives you the confidence to elevate your leadership. Jokes aside, if you love making chips, or if you're just passionate about improving your business performance and the financial performance of your company, check out By the Numbers by Making Chips, hosted by my good buddy, Mike Payne.
And I think some of our listeners would probably like to hear too, is you talked about, I can't remember how you worded it, but about some of the trade and like how you guys get some brands in there for you. How did you word that? Natural
integration.
Yeah.
So
That's the TV term.
Yep. So that is how, like, if there is a product or like a piece of equipment that we don't have, because we're a small business. So the way that I try to present to other companies, like if they're trying to get more visual on their product or something, that if it's something that I can see that we could use in the shop, so that on a project, whenever, let's say that we know that we got a project coming in, and we can add value to them by promoting their product, but the natural integration is where we're just naturally using it and they're catching it on film.
Yeah.
I will say, for our listeners who maybe they're not selling a product, but they're just like you, they're a fab shop or whatever. You mentioned that it kind of works for you too, because you're wearing your logo. You're the guy that they're turning to do the fabrication, but you're putting a little bit of brand in there. And I will say, not everybody's gonna have access to a TV show. I get that, but you could have your own little show, or you could have your own YouTube channel. You could, and that same thing, that natural integration is the same. It's basically content marketing by not focusing specifically on your brand, but your brand's the one bringing that value or It's just
kind
there.
of like the Life of a Craftsman series
That's
we did.
exactly what I was saying.
So
It was just
Casey
a life-
produced a Life of a Craftsman series for us, and we featured 4 of our team members, and I told him I don't want it to be about Nick's at all.
I don't even know
It
if
doesn't
they
even
I don't even know if
doesn't
they say
even ever say
they don't
anything.
even say they work
but
at Nick's or anything.
you
I
know,
don't
they're wearing their logo in the shots, and you know, you're going to catch glimpses of our logo here and
Logos on
there.
the truck, like
logo
they're
on the
pulling up
truck,
the
yeah,
stuff, yeah.
So that's the way we made our own, own promotional piece where it was natural integration. But I thought that was cool hearing what you were saying, and like you guys, Brunt Boots has reached out to you guys to wear their product, and people would never like most people in the fabrication industry would never think about like having being a dare I say influencer, but product placement and things like that as a fabrication company. But that's because you guys have built a huge online audience, and you guys have done a great job of building your personal brand, and which really is why you're on our podcast, because Maggie does a great job of, we've tasked her to say like, hey, go see who are the folks that are in our industry that are interesting, that have a following, and that's how this connection was made. And it's because you guys have been intentional about building that following.
Yeah. And like trying to get, because like that's one thing I learned from Austin and his journey is on any products or anything like that. Like we only want to support products that that are worthy of wearing, like or using. I shouldn't say the term worthy, but
if it's something that you really believe in, that you like.
That because if it's just like putting your name on any product that goes out, you want to stand behind it. And so anything that you do, you want to make sure that you have that credibility that comes with it.
I'd love to ask Austin to talk a little bit about his YouTube channel, just because you guys said Rodney will talk the whole time, so now I'm bringing Austin in. But also, like, it was funny because at lunch, it was the same way. We were talking to Rodney, and then all of a sudden, I don't even know how it brought, but you brought up your YouTube channel, and me being the guy that I am that did not research you guys at all, did not look at your YouTube channel. I looked at your Instagram because I saw you guys were vlogging about being here, like on your way in yesterday, and Maggie was so excited. She's like, they said their names, and it was really funny, like just to watch on your guys' Instagram. But your YouTube channel is unique to me because outside of the fabrication industry, this has been going on for a while, where people are building audiences and then they're selling them stuff. So like they're building this trust with their audience. You're bringing value, whatever you're doing to entertain and to inform your audience. Now you have this opportunity to make a little money, and I'd love for you just to share a little bit about what your YouTube channel is doing for you.
Yeah, so it's huge, and you're right. People have been doing it for years now. So full disclosure, I'm now divorced, but my wife, we traveled pipeline, and me and Rodney both started pipeline welding, and or both pipeline welded, and my wife traveled with me, and she was vlogging her life. So just to kind of give a little background on, how it all started, and to give credit where credit is due. And so that was in 2015. She was just vlogging her life as a pipeline wife. And
what kind of platform was she using at that time in 2015?
YouTube.
It was YouTube.
Yep,
Okay.
2015. Yep. On YouTube, and that was on our family channel. And people started asking about the welding truck, and more and more questions. It was clear, like looking back, it was clear that there was a gap in the education, in the like pipeline education, like nobody was sharing about it. And so the timing thing, right? So 2 years later, we started my YouTube channel because she kind of wanted her family channel back. She was like, right, I think you should start a channel. I was like, oh, I'm down. She said, if you start a channel, you gotta post a video every Friday. And I was like, okay, you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of just the doer, I'm like, I'm all over it, And so that's how the Austin Ross YouTube channel started. And I say all that to say, like I said, just to give credit where credit's due, I wouldn't be on YouTube if it wasn't for her. And I've learned a lot kind of just through doing it, like experience. And when I say learned a lot, like that is not my world. And lots of opportunity came from it. Like what you're saying, it's crazy I didn't realize what I was building, like you're saying. And there was a time where we had to like pull back on some of the opportunities because there was so much, just by adding value and educating people on something they were clearly interested in. And so, like you said, naturally built trust just by sharing stuff. You get a question on YouTube, make a video about it. And it's just, like we're on a roll there for a while, and it's crazy the world we live in. Anybody can do it. You know what I mean? And it's really, really neat to be able to serve an audience in a niche. Like you don't need the whole world. You don't need the whole attention. You just need your people. You know what I mean? Your community, and everybody's got one. Everybody's got a unique view. Is what I've learned. I could go on and on about what I've learned. You know, it's crazy.
That was a little knowledge. So everybody has a community. Everybody has their unique view, and I think Matthew has been learning over the last few years as you're building like a little bit of like your own personal brand, right? And I know I have like I've said this on the podcast before, but when we started Captivate Content, I specifically said it wasn't going to be called Velker Videos. It wasn't going to be my name because I wanted it to be separate. But then, literally within like a year or two, I realized I am the company. And so like I use LinkedIn. LinkedIn's my platform. I'm not like you guys. I'm not like famous or anything, but I have found a voice on there that helps people know who I am. You're
an extension of the brand.
Exactly. And like a lot of I'm real quirky and stuff online, and I use my kids. I always say I exploit my kids for not bad, but for I will be like, I took a picture of my son with those cool. I had those Ray-Ban glasses. We were on a roller coaster, and I took a picture and I explained it and how it applied. And then we also
the new Meta Ray-Ban, which by the way. Sidebar, I just got back from an awesome vacation in the Bahamas, and I am so pissed at myself for not getting a pair of those glasses. There
should have rented ours.
One of my
Adam Schmidt wants to rent mine right now to go to Germany.
I told him, I go, you tight ass, just buy a damn pair.
So but because he goes, you want to sell one of your pairs? Because we bought, naturally, me and my wife both wanted a pair, so we bought them for Disney, and then now we've been using them for baseball. When we're behind home plate, when our kids hitting, we record like.
I got to get a pair. There were so many times on that trip.
We literally, she pulled up her phone, and our son was sitting, this was last night, I almost took a video of her, showing him a video from her glasses of him swinging, saying, this was your game last week, it's your game this week. You see what you're doing differently with your footwork? It was so funny, and I was like, man, technology. Because literally she just clicks record. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, one of my wife's friends had a pair on the trip, and she was like, get in the picture, click and hit it, and I was out on a paddleboard one morning and by myself paddleboard, and it was beautiful, and the stingrays come swimming by. I'm like, damn it, I should have had the glasses. But anyways, we'll digress.
There you go. You get a pair for your YouTube channel. That's what we're getting. And Ray-Ban Meta, go ahead and sponsor this podcast.
Ray-Ban Meta.
We'll take all your money, please. But please revert your app back to how it was. I don't like how it is now. But anyway.
But how many followers or
subscribers
do you have on YouTube?
So on YouTube, it's we just rolled over 250,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then,
incredible.
And how many followers you got on Instagram? Like
on Instagram, I have
23
and a half.
Yeah.
Man, I was at I say content jail or something. At least it felt like I was at 19.5 for like, I don't know, forever. But also, I wasn't pumping out content like as much. But yeah, so anyways, I'm going down.
Well, but to put that in perspective for people, like Austin mentioned this earlier, he doesn't need or want the whole world as the audience. Like it's a very niche thing, and there are like 18 or 19,000 fabrication and machine shops in the United States. You can pick a lot of different criteria, but generally speaking, like shops like yours, shops like ours, there was about 23,000 in the early 2000s. We're down to about 18,000 or so now, but. So there's 18,000.
2001 since he started his.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you for. I think unfortunately there's more closing than what we're adding, but that's a whole other conversation for another day. But my point of that is, so there's 18,000 businesses roughly out there, and you have 250,000 subscribers. So of course, people that work in these businesses and so forth. But I don't know how many welders there are in the U.S., but it'd be an interesting statistic to look at. But my point I'm making is you're tapping a huge market share of the welder, welders, the profession, I guess.
And you sell a couple like tools and stuff that are specific to the people that are listening, or not listening, that are watching your videos. I'm thinking podcast right now, listening, but that are watching your videos. You sell those tools, and I loved when we were at lunch. You guys both mentioned, and you said it a little while ago on the podcast. Yeah, you don't want to just be sell, but you have a platform. You might as well make a little bit of money from it, right?
Well, and what's neat about YouTube is you can be as authentic as you want, like not as you want, but like things sold itself. Whenever things are really clicking, it's kind of been in the last several months because of the divorce and everything. Like everything's been shaky, but But whenever it was really, we were in flow and everything was going, like I was just doing my thing. Like I transferred from pipeline to just mobile welding because that's what I did before pipeline, and it just transferred because it was me. Like I'm still doing my thing. I'm still, and people were learning and liking it, and I was creating like the digital prints, like I was telling y'all earlier. And it just, so it's natural. Like I'm using my A-frame. Hey, I got prints this A-frame. Build your own A-frame. Get experience because you're 18 years old. You need experience, and you can utilize the A-frame. Like it's such a natural. We built a pipe fence course, and that's what I did was some pipe fence. Okay, here now, you know what I mean? We've created a course for you to buy. Like everything was just so natural, and that's what's so neat about it, I think, to me. You know what I mean? You build things for your audience.
The fact that people will pay to buy your hat, so we have to give hats away. The fact that somebody will pay, somebody that's never met you will pay for your hat with your name on it, it tells me that you've added so much value to that person, right? I mean, I'm joking, but I'm being serious. Like people don't buy a hat with a name on it unless that means something to them, and you have added value to those people, which is why they want to buy the hat from you. So that's so cool.
Right, for sure. Yeah, it's very humbling. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
I mean, that's one thing that I told him the other day, because I was like, because we were talking about like what logos would look like, especially if we come up with this Ross Bros brand or something that has everything tied together to where I'm like, because to me, I'm like, if someone wants a Mid-State Welding logo, I'm like, why? Why would I want? Like, I think as a viewer, it's like, why would I want a Mid-State hat or a logo or something? Because like to me, it's unless you change it up, because on his store he has all these shirts of sayings and things that like correlate with it, like kind of having like your whatever your memo is, whatever your like you have something else to tie to it, not versus
tagline stuff, things you say, like self-branding.
Yeah. So like to me, like just selling one of the ones that me or the guys would be wearing, I would have a hard time trying to like sell them. But if I had something that was like a cool shirt or
I know one you got to have on the shirt. You taught me it earlier. There's always a way.
There's always a way.
There's always a way. I really like that.
Hey guys, it's Nick from Making Chips, and I gotta tell you about our new show, Lights Out. When someone talks about being lights out, what comes to mind? For me, it's Michael Jordan. He's got the ball, the game's on the line. Or it's Leo Messi taking that ball up to take a penalty in a penalty shootout. These guys are elite, and they're unstoppable, and you just know they're not going to miss. But I also think about the technology, automation, process, and most importantly, the mindset of the manufacturing leaders with the best shops in the world. Every episode will equip and inspire you to run lights out so you can sleep soundly while your shop never stops. Because we all know, if you're not making chips, you're not making money. So check out the new Lights Out podcast by Making Chips. I will see you there.
Believe it or not, one of the first podcasts I ever listened to is a lady, I'm wrong, her last name is Fordleo, I think is her name. And she like termed the thing, everything's figure outable. So I guess her mom said it. Her mom was like one of those moms that like, if the dishwasher broke, she was fixing it. She was figuring it out and everything. And she goes, everything's figure outable. And I'm like, that's a cool system. There you go. There's no way.
Yeah, because I don't know if you. Oh yeah, because we were still at your shop, and because I was saying that what I've done with my guys is because they're younger, and whenever they run into a problem, the biggest thing I've been learning about, whether it's business or just even in the welding journey, like if there's a problem, you got to be able to know how to figure it out. It's problem solving. And so the saying that I started using on the guys is, there's always a way, because they come down and it's like, hey man, I don't know, I just can't do it. And so I'm like, well, let's try this or try this. And, we start breaking it into different scenarios and have you tried this or have you tried that? And then now it's kind of the joke, because I'm like, all right, guys, so what do we say? As a reminder, there's always a way.
It's helped me a bunch, dude. It's powerful. Since Kayla hasn't been helping me, I've had to learn a lot of stuff myself, and it talked about stress and anxiety. And if it wasn't for this dude and that saying, like it's literally forced me to like tap into that strength, that self-strength that we all have, but you get complacent because of your help. And it's like, that's powerful. There's always a way.
My brother's got one that that helps me as well. And he would say, we got to embrace the suck. And, when you're going through those tough times in business or what have you, it's like, just remember that. You're like, all right. And, what it means to me is like, let's take this adversity and let's turn it into something, that's going to be a positive down the road. We don't even know what it is right now, but we're going to embrace the position that we're in. I think we talked about that this morning about like when you're growing your business and you feel like you're fighting and scraping, it's not going where you want it to go, recognizing that you're building that foundation right now. It's just the outside world hadn't seen it yet, but you're doing it. So,
well, that's just like the Bible, James 1:5 says, count it always, rejoice and count it joy always. And so it's like, like no matter what you're going through, always, because those, if you count it joy, you can think of it from a positive aspect of like, I'm learning something from this.
Yeah.
And so it's like, just
God gives us rainy days to appreciate the sunny ones, I think. Yeah. And I made a joke this morning about when we walked outside and it's a cold, gloomy day in Indiana. I said, gosh, guys, you picked a bad day to be here. It was so beautiful yesterday. And Austin, just without missing a beat, he said, hey, I appreciate any weather right now. Appreciate any day. And I'm like, that's a great perspective to have for sure. So,
oh yeah.
Sometimes it takes, especially those of us that are thick-headed, as our grandpa would say. Sometimes it takes like tough things in life for us to be knocked down to appreciate that stuff. Yeah, but I'm grateful.
That's unfortunate, but that's the reality. Yeah, that's the reality. Yeah. What else is?
That was such a.
We got to bring it back up here. No, we got deep. That's good. We got deep there for a minute. We don't normally.
So it's gonna tear up a little bit. I'm okay with that.
We don't normally. Yeah, we don't normally go there on this podcast. That was great. Yeah.
It was like one of the things you guys mentioned, I think is really cool is you guys are in the thick of things right now. And you mentioned, like Matthew said, he's been there and stuff. Like, I'm going to flip it a little bit. Do you guys have any questions for Matthew with where he's at, where you guys are right now, like something that's like on your mind that you're like, man, this would be cool if he can give me an answer right now. And then maybe the listeners will be like, oh, that was cool.
Solid question. I love it.
I'll let you go first because I got one.
What was one of your, like, I don't know if first hires or like, because delegation is such a new thing to me because I'm such a solo craftsman. And like I said, like, and so like, what was one of your, I say first hires? Like, did you just kind of know, or did you work for a long time with just the 2 or 3 other guys at one time? There was 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 of you.
Well, I started full time in 2004, and it was 2010 before I hired the first team member full time. So it was 6 years. And I think I know where you're going with this. I'll start to answer it, and then we can adjust if we need to. But there was never like a master plan. So the first person we hired, Adam Schmidt, who's still with us, he's our VP of administration now. But at the time, we had, again, fighting and scraping to grow the business. I was lucky enough to land a contract. We were building modular buildings for the coal mines, and it doubled our business overnight. And there's a whole chapter about this in the book, by the way. So you said you're halfway in, so you're getting close to this part of the story, but it really changed everything. So we were doing $500,000 in revenue at the time. We landed a job. It was a $500,000 job, so doubled the business overnight. We had to adjust a lot of things to do that. We staffed up. We hired the first welders to do that. And anyways, as that contract was coming to an end, I had hired 4 or 5 people. And we talked about this morning, and you guys view the world the way I do. We care about our team member and how we impact people. And I was like, I don't want to lay these people off. I mean, they've put their trust in us, and so I need to find a salesperson. I had no freaking idea what I was doing. I just knew that, like you, I was busy looking at work, quoting work, designing work, fabricating work, shipping the work, painting it, installing it, whatever I had to do. And I thought, I'll just hire a sales guy. So Adam Schmidt, who's with us now, we brought him in. He had no experience in our industry. He was in medical staffing. That's a whole other story. But we interviewed a bunch of guys, and he came out on the top and was crazy enough to take a chance, I guess. So we did that, and then we just started rolling. And then it was like, all right, I'm doing all these hand drawings. I need a CAD guy. So I knew an old high school buddy of mine that had done some CAD courses, and I'm like, hey, you want a CAD job part-time? And so he started out, and then he was full-time, and then it was the next thing, right? So my point was there was no master plan. It was just, what's the next thing we need? And we moved. You can sit around all day planning and thinking, and we just moved.
So totally. And I that's such an interesting point, or a good point. And it reminds me of, because I get questions all the time, or I have over the years on the YouTube channel, like, how do you do this? Or how did you do this? Or what do you do in this situation? And it seems like my answer half the time was, it's situation dependent. Everybody has their own situation, and you literally have to know for yourself and do what you have to do for yourself. But it sounds like for you, it was like you said big contract.
Yep.
It's kind of like what spurred, which like for us, I feel like it's that commercial thing. That's one thing we can see where opportunities would come from.
But don't let them come and go. So many people, like, they would have got that job, they'd have doubled the business, and then it'd be like, well, that was a good run, and then they went right back to where they were. You have to take that next step to be intentional, to say, all right, that was a great boost, that was a great shot in the arm, but let's double down, let's capitalize, let's go. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Had a contractor friend of mine I was telling you about the rock ship deal. He told me once, because I was like, man, I don't know if I should hire this kid, and because we got this big job, I know I could probably use him. Long story short, I didn't hire him, but that was for other reasons. But he asked me, he goes, can you use him now? I was like, yeah. He said, did you promise him to, like work him like full time forever? I said, well, no. And he was like, hire him, and then you find more work for him. Like, just as simple, like, just, like, find more work for him.
I feel like
don't go backwards.
I can relate to this a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember so Mason, who will be editing this podcast, when I hired him, we hired him as an intern first. We got really lucky. He worked for us for 6 months part-time. He was working with his dad. His dad runs golf courses, worked with his dad. He had just graduated. And we had some good work come in, and I remember coming to Matthew and said, hey, I kind of want to hire him full-time starting the new year. And I remember Mason saying, he goes, I'm just worried that, he goes, you seem to have a hard time finding work for us now, or for me now. How is that going to work? And I was like, well, we'll figure it out. And literally, as soon as it turned around, I mean, he's been busy ever since. So anyway, just saying.
Yeah.
Kind of relate a little bit to it. But more was like it worked out, like as in like we found work for him, and then also
good talent finds ways to pay for themselves.
Yeah. He's also really self-motivated. Like he'll look at our project management and he'll just I don't do as much work because he's out, he's sitting there knocking it down from like that. So
what was your question to me?
So it's kind of in the aspect of the delegation, but like far as help, because like we went the route like where we had some young guys that didn't really have a lot of experience because like they're a little more affordable, but when it's a smaller group, you can train them. When you're at that level, do you try to find top talent, or do you find someone in the middle, or do you start green and then train them and mold them into what you want? Because like we went the route of younger guy. He's turned out great now, but there's still a lot of training and
it's costing us a lot of money.
I think the answer is yes.
Yeah,
both.
You're right. It's yes on all that, and I think it's just, and that never stops, by the way. But it's being cognizant of where you're at, and so if you've got some time to devote to them, and with your brother coming in and your mother-in-law helping you now, maybe that frees you up to where you do have some more time to coach, and then things ebb and flow to where it's like, all right, I really need an experienced, seasoned guy right now, and I need to delegate some of that coaching to that person, and so we still pay attention to that ratio a lot of how many experienced folks are we bringing in relation to the younger guys, because there's an economic part of that too, right? And then also if you have all the experienced guys, one, that's costly, and two, like you don't have any next generation coming up. So, I think a good ratio for us is probably one of the experienced guys for every two or three, and those two or three are in different stages of the journey, right? But there's no secret math to that. That's just, I think, kind of what's worked for us. Sure. So I would just say, just kind of feel that out as you go. But you definitely need to add some experience along the way, for sure. And those guys find ways to pay for themselves.
Well, I got a question. Have you ever had an experience that come in that, for lack of a better word, was stuck in their ways? So like when I think of like when you were talking about molding them, there's ways you can teach people to do it the way you need different thought process. So you need experience. Sometimes youth brings different experience too, in the sense of that they're bringing something that they've learned or whatever that you never, maybe they were learning from YouTubers or something like that, right? But is there any?
Yeah, I know what you're asking. I probably, but I think typically our experience has been that the experience they bring to the table far outweighs any of this sort of idea of like, oh, they're stuck in their ways. And, sure, there's some of that, but we have found the knowledge that they bring. And I think part of it too is we try to attract the right kind of people. We don't always get it right. That want to coach people and that want to be coached. And, we're not hiring the OG guy that's just crusty and like, leave me alone, let me do my job. We're trying to hire the guy that's like, man, I'm at the stage of my career where I love coaching these young guys, and that fills my cup up to pass the torch to these guys. So, just like anything, there's guys that have been doing it 30 years that probably aren't the right guys to coach, and there's guys that are. So you just look for those guys.
Sure. Yeah, that's super helpful, because whenever you're trying to grow, it's almost like for me, it's almost like, because you feel torn because you're like trying to figure out how you can, like to me, I feel like I've slacked on, like we were talking about how trying to go out and go visit with some of our other customers or, try to do that intentional PR work. And so that's where like, well, I have to be here to keep that going, so it's like, it's just that dynamic of like, man, if I could, cause it was two things. One thing we've talked about is like trying to find admin help that, cause that's admin help and like a foreman of some sort, someone that's got that leadership. And so those are like the two things that we've been seeing that would be, game changers. But it's also at what point do you go, because one thing, like my wife has said, like if we were to hire like other admin help or someone, because there's a cost that comes with them, but it's like, that they would buy you more time or help you with, so you could focus on what you're doing. But like, how do you step out of that realm of things are tight? So how do you turn around and pay someone else, that mentality of,
well, some of it you can't ever put a pencil to it. You just got to believe it, and you got to go make it work. Yeah, you got to go make it work. This maybe the last thing on that I would say is go where you're passionate and where your strength is, and you will find a way to pay for that person. So,
sure.
If you love the administrative side or the business owners that love the accounting and the numbers, well, don't outsource that part. Keep that part, But if you love being in the shop, then be in the shop and let somebody else. You just got to go where you're passionate, and you'll find a way to add value. And it's good to be thoughtful about the financial aspect of it. You don't want to be reckless. I don't mean that. Yeah. It's like, if we're losing money right now, we probably shouldn't hire an admin. But if you're kind of like, I think it'll work, but I'm not sure kind of thing, at some point you just got to take a leap and go.
Sure.
Well, I said it earlier, that I might say we're coming up on our time, but I think we're coming up on our time. How can people follow along with you guys?
Well, so my main platform is on Instagram at Mid-State Welding. Simple as that. And you can find it on Facebook, and I do have a YouTube channel. I got about 3K on there,
More than me.
More than me.
But just
thankful for all 3,000 of you.
Yes, thank you. But just Mid-State Welding. You can follow me there, and that's Instagram is where you can find.
aroswelding.com is the website, or the main website, and then we got aroswelding.school where you can find the online courses and workshop dates and stuff, and then Austin Ross is the name of the YouTube channel.
Austin Ross.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for making the trip to be here. It was a pleasure and honor to get to know you guys. And
appreciate you having us.
And I can't wait to go visit the Black Hills of South Dakota, because now I've got some friends in South Dakota. It's always good to know people.
Absolutely.
It's a whole conversation in itself, because that's key in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Before we sign off, remind our listeners, if they like these episodes, especially when we get to bring guys like you guys from South Dakota here, like it, share it, rate it, review it, refer it. Yeah. I don't know.
And if you would think you would be a great guest on the show, or somebody that would be a great guest on the show, please let us know. We'd love to talk to them.
Yeah. How do we sign off?
Hey guys, if you're not making sparks,
you ain't making money.
That's damn right.